Merry Christmas to everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we are here to do a really fun bonus episode for you. We are here to talk about and rank the IMDb editor's top Christmas movies. And this is top 25 according to IMDb editors, whoever they might be. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a bloodbath, Christmas bloodbath. Because there's some really good movies here that we're going to talk about. And I'm film critic Grace Wagner, and Terry's here.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good.
Good. Having a good Christmas in July?
Yep. Sweating. Heat wave. It's all good.
All right. There's 25, so we are going to go through these a little bit quickly, but it's going to be fun. This was a pretty interesting list. I only had one that I had never seen before. That we'll talk about. But yeah, what did you think overall of this list?
Solid for the most part. Totally solid. There is quite a few versions of a Christmas story, a Christmas Carol on here, which I was like, pick one and move on. But you know,
yeah. There's what?
3, I think.
Four versions. So yeah, a lot.
Yes, that's right.
True.
4. Yeah, well, true. Just pick one, move on. Yeah.
Well, let's dive in. Number 25 for me is where I have Frosty the Snowman. And it's kind of a funny story with this because these Rankin Bass shorts are not my favorite. And and there's a certain like forced quirkiness that kind of grates on me a little bit about these shorts. And I had done a Rankin Bass month one year. This was like 2015, I think, on my blog, and where I was reviewing all the Rankin Bass, and I just grew really tired of them. And so I had written this somewhat scathing review of Frosty the Snowman.
Rachel.
In 2019, when I got added to Rotten Tomatoes, some poor sad soul had to go through all of my previous reviews and I'd been having my blog since 2014, and adding all of them to my account on Rotten Tomatoes, and so they got to that Rankin Bass month, and then I had people from like, you gave rotten to Frosty the Snowman, so I'm like the queen of Christmas, everything, and I'm the one that's rotten on Frosty the Snowman. They were like, how dare you? But it's just, I don't know. They're just not my favorite.
I have Frosty Snowman slightly, not that much higher, but I do think it's the lesser of the Rankin Bass. I agree.
I don't know. What do you have at 25?
I have Trading Places. I know it's a famous comedy with Eddie Murphy and, Dan Aykroyd, but it's never been for me. Con Man, Wall Street Guy, Switch Places, Shenanigans Happen, Set at Christmas. Boom, there you go. It has never done much for me. As many times as I've tried to watch it as an adult and get in it, it's not one of my faves.
Yeah, I did as Blind Spot last year, so it was the first time that I watched it.
Yeah,
and I do appreciate sort of the biting social commentary. It's talking about class and race and the way that different people are treated and the connections that people have, and like it's almost more effective as a drama than as a comedy.
True that.
But yeah, I don't have it super high, so I get it. A lot of those, pretty much almost all the 80s comedies just are not really for me. There's a few I like. Better Off Dead. I like, Princess Bride. I like a few of them, but a lot of them just don't work for me. Well, my number 24 is, like I said, the Rankin Bass bloodbath continues because I have Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Sad Santa.
I would not have this one on a best list of any kind.
No, I'm sorry. Sad Santa is The Year Without Santa Claus.
Yeah, and that one's much better, in my opinion.
Yes.
And I don't know. It's okay. Fred Astaire, Mickey Rooney, stop motion.
Yeah.
But I just don't love the Rankin Bass shorts.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
They're not for everybody.
So what do you have at 24?
I have Scrooge. Now I've seen, I know it's a musical.
Yeah.
And it stars Albert Finney and Alec Guinness, and I should love this. And I watched it as a kid a lot, but like it's never stuck with me. I can't remember any of the songs. It isn't one of my favorite retellings. Yeah.
No, it is the
Not that
lowest.
it's bad. It is good, but
It's the lowest of my Christmas Carol on this ranking.
yeah.
So I don't have
So,
much higher. Yeah, I mean, it has some catchy songs. Thank you very much. It's the
yeah,
nicest
it's like
thing
I can't
anyone's ever
retain
done
any of
for
them,
me.
I think. Even though
Yeah.
I'd seen this movie a bunch as a kid, I just can't retain any of it. So I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
mean,
we're gonna have to.
it is pretty memorable. It's the only one where Scrooge goes to hell, literally
Yes, that is correct. Yeah.
goes to hell. Um, but yeah,
Well,
it's not a favorite of mine,
yeah.
so I don't have it super higher. Well, my let's see, so 23.
Hmm.
Get ready, your Criterion people out there. You're gonna clutch your pearls. That's where I have Fanny and Alexander. I'm just not the biggest Bergman person. The cynicism that he has in all of his films is are just, and they're all so long. It's I get it. I get the craft. I get why people love him. They love him. Just doesn't speak to me, and this just totally left me cold. I
Yeah.
kind of knew that I probably wouldn't like it, so I hadn't seen it. So I watched it this week, and I don't know. I mean, I just felt nothing for like the characters, and I wasn't invested in their story, and it's just so depressing that
I'm with you. I have this slightly higher, and I only put it slightly higher because
the
it is
craft.
very well made,
Yeah, it is.
you
It
know.
is. I
But
think if I
what
was going to pick my favorite Bergman, I haven't seen that many, but probably The Seventh Seal, because I think The
yeah,
Seventh
same.
Seal has more of a sense of humor about it. It's a little bit funnier, and this is,
I had never seen Fanny and Alexander until we made this list. And
yeah.
I went on and I was like, oh, it's on HBO Max. And then my HBO Max was not working. And a whole shenanigan going on that I had to call Monday to fix it. So I had to rent this on Amazon. And I was like the theatrical version. And the minute I started watching it, I was like, ooh, this looks and feels like it was made for TV, like the pacing.
Which it
And
was.
yes, it was. And one day I will watch the miniseries because I feel when watching this movie that there were gaps in the storytelling. And I think
Hmm.
that's why I couldn't connect fully to all these characters. And I know this is a beloved movie, the theatrical version.
Yeah.
It won an Oscar and everything.
Hmm.
Um, but I felt so disconnected. I was like, I feel like there's missing beats. I
Yeah.
couldn't like why is it so depressing? And I'm
Oh my
like,
gosh.
there's like parts where it's like this is a bummer. Not
Yeah.
that
And
everything has to be happy go lucky because it doesn't. But yeah, it is. I wish
when,
also I think if I watched the miniseries, I could take my time with it
hmm
and sit with it and watch it the complete story instead of like this chopped up version,
but
and
there
maybe I
wasn't
would like
really
it
like a
better.
good catharsis. Like if I'm going to watch something that's real cynical and really depressing, like I like for it to feel kind of like a sense of catharsis at the end that like somebody has sort of
Yeah.
gotten there, or I don't
This
know,
is
just something
yeah.
about it kind of in the end
Because
kind
this
of.
definitely has to be more with certain characters like the maid
Hmm.
and
Hmm. Yeah.
and even some other
I mean, I
weird
guess you're
choices.
supposed to at the end when now she has this baby and sort of a fresh start with things, and so I guess I can see that, but I don't know. It's just not for me. I just That's the thing. You realize when you become a true movie fan, you realize that there's lots of classics that you don't like.
Oh,
That's
totally,
okay.
totally.
You do not have
Yeah.
to like everything that is heralded as a classic.
If I wanted that much drama, I'd just go to one of my family reunions and stuff.
True.
Like I want
Yes.
some escapism. It didn't give me the escapism I
No,
wanted, but
no.
it is, man, the costumes and it is the
Yeah.
craft of it, the making it is top notch.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, what do you have? Let's see, where are you? I forget.
23.
23. What do you
So
have at 23?
this is where I have Frosty the Snowman.
Okay.
To me, this is the lesser ranking Basque.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, it's probably the donkey movie, but it is what it is.
Nestor, the long-eared donkey.
Yeah, but you know,
Yeah.
for what you said.
There's some really bad
You got
ones.
Frosty. They got a couple of nice songs, but
Rudolph's Shiny New Year. That one is so bad. Um,
oh, I've erased that from my memory, Rachel.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I have at 22 is where I have Trading Places. So
Okay.
we're not that far off on that one. It does have some funny, and I guess I admire the sort of boldness of all the things
Yeah,
it's trying to talk
totally.
about. But yeah. What do you have at 22?
This is where I have Joy X Noel.
Mm-hmm.
And I also rewatched this one because I couldn't remember it. And this is another movie which I thought was kind of sad because there's so
It
many
is the war.
stories. Yeah, because there's like no matter what war it is, you hear these stories about people like either they're singing or they stop fighting, sort of a ceasefire during Christmas. There's something about Christmas where they, stop
Mhm.
fighting, but like the very next day you go on to kill each other.
Yeah.
And there's three perspectives. There's the British perspective, the French perspective, and the German perspective in this movie. And it's a fictional account of a
World
real
War
life
One.
event. Yeah, this World War One, which is a trench warfare, which was a terrible war. It killed the majority of men in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's just like, and it's a fictional account of a real life uh thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like it's there, it's not one of my favorite Christmas movies because again, it's like a little bummer but
Mm-hmm.
it's very well made and
Yeah, I do
Daniel
think it's
Boone and
pretty
stuff like
moving
that.
that
I
like in
just
this
did the
war.
the whole relationship with the female opera singer, the opera singers. I was like, you didn't need to have her in here.
Yeah,
We didn't need that.
I agree
You
there.
know.
I think that the whole idea of them like finding humanity in this
Oh
horrible
yes, yeah,
time is kind of beautiful. And
that is
it's one I
absolutely.
would say that a lot of people should check out that they probably
Oh,
haven't
absolutely,
seen. If I
yeah.
was looking underrated, I think I would might include it on there just because I just don't think
Mm-hmm.
that many people have seen it. And it is
Totally.
pretty quality. But yeah, it I mean wars, especially World War One,
Yeah,
is
and it's
is really
brutal. It shows the
it is.
brutality and like these guys are tired. And
Hmm.
then when they get scolded for that, these men who are scolding them are not fighting. They're not there every day watching their men
Yeah.
die in the trenches.
Yeah.
And the
I
fact
mean,
that
that's the thing. World War
yeah,
One, it's extra tragic because it was
it's extra
so
tragic,
unnecessary.
unnecessary.
It
And
was
and just they're just
just
basically being shot to death, climbing, through the trench and just being
mhm,
shot to death. And it's like the scene where they, on Christmas Day, where they again make the truce so they could bury their dead on every side. And it's like,
and
it's so
the
tragic,
gassing and everything, and
yeah, and it just takes like you have a look at it and like, oh, these guys, I feel. And then when they're reprimanded, you're like, come on, guys, because it's that's always the case, because
mhm,
you have people who are higher ups who don't actually do the fighting. They tell
and
you what to do.
the
And
inhumanity is
the
just
inhumanity of it all and the
mhm,
slight bit of humanity is, and it's a little lower because it's a good movie, but it's a bummer, man.
yeah. No,
Because
it's
you're like,
true.
because I feel at the end of the movie we don't know what happens to them, which is fine, but I feel like I know they all died. Don't you get
Hmm.
that thing? Like,
Yeah.
they all died, and
Hmm.
I hate that.
Hmm.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
My 21 I have is where I have Scrooge. I
Okay.
already talked about that.
Yeah.
Thank you
And
very much. It's just because I do
eh,
think it has some catchy tunes, and
yeah.
then and I do think that going to hell is bonkers and kind of fun. But yeah, it's not a great Christmas Carol.
No.
What do you have at 21?
Fanny and Alexander.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, at 20 is where I have Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Okay. I have
Yeah, I
that
just
one
don't love the
slightly
Rankin
higher.
Bass.
Yeah.
I mean, again, they're just they're just too try hard for me. I mean, it's like the Island of Misfit Toys and just like trying so hard to be quirky and it's fine. It's perfectly
coming for you,
harmless,
Rachel.
but just not my favorite.
Coming for you.
I know.
They ain't coming for me because I'm quiet. But they coming for you.
Yeah, I know.
I feel
Come
you.
at me, Rankin Bass, Hive. So yeah, that's where I have it 20. What do you have at 20?
I have the 1984 A Christmas Carol version. This
Mhm.
one's good. George C. Scott is great.
Yeah,
but
he's a
not,
very American Scrooge. Like
it's
so
a
funny
very-
because the younger version that they go in and pass has a British accent, and
Yes.
he doesn't even try. Like, oh, you somehow lost your British accent.
Because he's a Scrooge, so
Which is
that's
funny.
what happens.
But other than that, it's solid. It's
a solid retelling. True.
Well, I have at 19 is where I have Joyeux Noel.
Okay.
Yeah, so we agree on that one.
Yeah.
What do you have at 19?
Gremlins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a fun movie. It's a fun little
movie.
horror movie.
They're adorable though.
Mm-hmm. They are. They are. And great atmosphere. The whole, I love that whole set that they create this town, and it just all it's really good.
It's very charming.
Well, 18 is where I have Love Actually. It's fun. It's definitely the best version of this kind of story of all the different, stories meeting up, but some of them are frustrating. I'm like, why does Laura Linney, can't she be like a good sister and get the hot guy? Like, I don't understand why those two things are mutually exclusive. Like, what?
There's some characters and stories that I would have omitted from it, but overall, I think it's a solid taken.
Yeah, and of course Emma Thompson should have won an Oscar for it. I mean, she is so good in this role. Oh, when she sees
Alan
that
Rickman,
necklace,
you fool.
Oh, when she sees that necklace on the
oh
woman.
my god, her real life tears. And she said she used her real life divorce as that inspiration.
You can feel it. She is so good. I mean, I'm not kidding. I would have given her an Oscar.
She really is. She
is good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest cringe is the whole I mean, it's pretty iconic, but the whole cards guy,
totally. I hate, and I know everybody loves it, but I hate the subplot with the prime minister.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Hugh Grant is charming in it, but I'm like,
he's a
look
little
at this tubby, the skinniest girl. Look at this tubby Lauren. And I was like, where you going, bro?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I agree. That's definitely a lower
I'd get rid of the guy who goes to America.
Tier.
Yeah, I'd get rid of the storyline where the guy who goes to America to get laid. I'd get rid of the stand-in porn people. Like, they just are not needed.
Yeah, agreed.
But
I really like Bill Nighy.
He is solid. Yes, he's
that's so sweet. His friendship.
Yes, the love story for them is the friendship.
Mm-hmm. And the little boy.
Oh, I know.
Adorable. So it's really quite good.
It's quite
good. So 17 is where I have 84 Christmas Carol. So we're really pretty close actually. On these rankings. What do you have at 17?
White Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like it's got some great numbers and Bing Crosby and Rosemary Clooney, and I love Bing. Can't go wrong.
Yeah.
So
definitely it's a weird one where I actually prefer the Broadway musical adaptation of it.
I can see it.
They just made it like a little tighter. They have some new songs. They got rid of the minstrel number, which is not great. And I don't know. I just think they actually made it's a screen to stage adaptation that actually improves.
And another movie that starts off as in war.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah. So at 16 is where I have Gremlins. So we're getting pretty close.
And that is where I have Santa Claus is coming to town.
Okay. Frank, you got your Fred Astaire.
So there's that,
Well, 15 is where I have White Christmas. So again, we're pretty close on all of these. I Rosemary Clooney, I love her in this.
Oh, totally.
And of course, there's some really fun like sisters numbers. Hilarious.
Oh, I love that number. Oh, and their costumes too.
Never were there such devoted sisters. Snow. Yeah, I mean the Irving Berlin songs, you can't be beat.
Totally.
And like I said, if any of you have the chance to see the Broadway musical adaptation, it's really good. It's very solid. I recommend it. Let's see. What do you have at 15?
This is where I have the Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay. Yeah.
I do like it. I do love this movie.
Mhm.
Halloween Town. I just love all that stuff. Those
Yeah.
three stinking kids kidnapping Santa. Yeah. It's very charming, and it's
Yeah.
both Halloween and Christmas, so it's all good.
Yeah. I mean, I think
I love the stop animation too.
I do think I would lean to Halloween movie if I had to pick a team.
Yes, same.
but
Yeah.
I have it a bit higher. But I just love the whole idea of I'm really attracted to movies with themes of somebody pretending to be something that they're not.
Absolutely.
And how like toxic that is. And that's basically what Jack is doing. He sees Christmas Land and he wants what he sees, and so he's trying to pretend to be something that he's not, in like the best of intentions, and how it ruins everything. And Sally can see that, and I think it gives this movie a big heart and soul. It's not just about the beautiful stop motion animation, which of course it is, but yeah, it's
great soundtrack,
classic
too.
for a reason.
Yeah, totally.
Henry Selick directed, not Tim Burton, as people say all the time. It drives me crazy.
He just produced it.
So my number 14 is where I have the animated Dr. Seuss How the Grinch Stole Christmas short, which is delightful. I really enjoy it. We're getting into a bloodbath here. Like these next 14 are all like really movies I love. So it's very difficult. But it's so cute. And of course, the Boris Karloff, iconic song.
So great. Yeah.
I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole.
He deserved it. That poor dog.
I mean, the Who's down in Whoville making all that noise. If they had just stopped making all that noise and let him
the
sleep,
Grinch would have been fine.
As an insomniac, I empathize with the Grinch. But did he have to take every scrap, even food too small for the Grinch mice?
I know.
He even took the last can of Who hash.
He is.
So there we go. I have that at 14. What do you have at 14?
I have The Year Without a Santa Claus.
Okay,
this is sad sack Santa. So
he's depressed.
He's depressed. He needs some time off. I get it. People are unappreciative to you, Santa. I get you. I feel you. Yeah.
This one is the best of the Rankin Bass, in my opinion. And
True.
particularly the Miser Brothers are absolutely great, hilarious.
Yes.
What a good song.
Totally.
Hey, Mr.
Yeah, it is. It's got some great music. It is probably the best of the Rankin Bass. I agree.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite, but it is the best.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have that at 13. What do you have at 13?
Oh, at 13 is where my favorite, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Probably because I watched this one the most as a kid, so I have the nostalgia for it. But yeah. And all he wanted to do was
Yeah.
They bullied him, those bullies.
Number 12 is where I have National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I know it's, like I said, this next bunch is a bloodbath because there are some great movies in here. But yeah, I mean, it is like the thing I think that works so well about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is the jokes just keep coming. So even if one doesn't really land for you, pretty soon there's another one that probably does. And my grandma loved this movie, and she would laugh to the point of like concern. Like she would we're like, breathe. And so I have a lot of nostalgia with this movie, and particularly when they're like, Grace, they want you to say Grace.
You know what I love? When he lights the house.
I pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
Oh, I know. When he lights the house and the neighbors like fall off their bed and like, or when the cat electrocutes.
And when the squirrel comes out of the tree.
Yes.
Oh my god. Because a lot of times these family shenanigans Christmas movies are not for me, but this is one that
I get it. Yeah, this one I like.
Pulls it off. And like I said, I think partly just because the jokes just keep coming, and so you never left that long without a laugh, and so that's why I have a 12. What do you have at 12?
Home Alone. The
Yeah.
Essential, My Parents Forgot Me at Home.
Yeah.
Not intentionally, they counted the wrong kid.
Yeah.
But you know.
It's so good. I do admit that Home Alone is a film that I have a hard time separating my nostalgia from.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
It was really the first comedy that I ever really remember like laughing a lot at and really
Yeah.
connecting with. I saw it we got a special 10-year-old trip with my grandparents, and so I had mine, and so I went out to California to see them, and we went to see Home Alone.
Yeah.
And I just remember like dying laughing, just thinking it was
It's
the
like
funniest thing I'd ever seen.
I agree too, and seeing it also when I was 10, and it was just a perfect age and the perfect time to like perfect kids movie to like
Yeah. Well,
grow up with,
and how
really.
appealing the idea of, some of my favorite scenes from that movie were like him going grocery shopping himself,
Oh
and like
yeah.
him making his little macaroni and cheese and like fighting off the furnace, and almost more than the over the top, booby trap, scenes, which aren't that long. People kind of make that to seem like it's the whole movie, but it's really only about
It's
15
not.
minutes of the movie. And it's actually can be so tenderhearted, like everything with the old man and all of that. And I think one of John Williams' most underappreciated scores. It's a beautiful score. And yeah, it's
The
I
reunion he has with his mom after he wished them like all away,
yeah,
and then she walks in and
yeah,
goes, Kevin, and it's so touching that moment,
yeah.
like because she was doing what bugs me though? Then the husband arrives like a few minutes later, all that trouble she did to get to him.
Yeah. It might be
It's touching.
just as far as my favorites, it might be my favorite comedy.
Oh yeah, I could totally see it. Yeah.
It's certainly in that conversation with like the greats for me, with What's Up Doc and things like that. I do really love it so much. So all right, let's see here. 11, that's where we're at, right? 11. My number 11 is Where I Have Claws from Netflix. Love this movie.
Slightly higher, but yeah.
Love this movie. I love the animation. I love the story. It's the origin story of Santa Claus, and huge heart and soul, and the way that the whole town kind of like it starts from being so dark in the animation and as come alive.
What a town to live in too.
Yeah, that
it's
the
great.
whole color palette changes within the course of the movie, and I love that. And it's a wonderful little.
I know. I finally watched it,
Yay!
Rachel. It took me forever, and I loved it. And the ending is so sweet. It's so bittersweet. The ending.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I get to see my friend again. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I got a little tear. I got like a little emotional too. At the end.
It really is tenderhearted. It really is. What do you have at 11?
There's A Charlie Brown Christmas. It's a classic for a reason. Sad sack Charlie, and Snoopy and all the gang. And I love the Peanuts. This one's great.
It's such an honest movie.
Honest.
And
totally.
Charlie is such an honest character that it's great. Yeah.
And now you can only watch it on Apple because, they just had to, Rachel. They had to take that away from TV.
When Linus stands up in front of everybody and recites Luke 2, it is absolutely beautiful.
And Charlie Brown going, I love this Christmas tree, like giving the tree like some love. It's not perfect. It's so great.
It's really not a bad little tree.
No, and it's very timeless.
Yeah.
Very timeless.
Well, my number 10 is Where I Have Die Hard. And I really struggled of where to rank this because it is a classic. It's such a well-done action movie. But again, like just some of my favorite movies. It's just a tough, like I said, Bloodbath.
It's tough, yeah.
It's a very good movie, but I have it at 10.
Yeah. So my number 10 is Meet Me in St. Louis.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. So I debated whether putting this, but I was like, this is more of an all holiday.
Yeah, it's a hard one to rank.
Yeah, it's a hard one to rank, but I felt 10 was appropriate, Great music, Charlie song lives on forever. Judy Garland, wonderful.
Yeah. I'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Elise Murray and her exciting book, Society Girl. Set in the mysterious world of Oxford University's secret societies, Society Girl follows Sam, a duke's estranged daughter, as she attempts to join the most famous club of them all, the Animos Society. Her final initiation challenge is simple: find a man, convince him she's in love with him, and then break his heart in humiliating fashion. Hardened by her father's rejections, believing that the Animos Society is her key to his love and acceptance, Sam throws herself into making Dano Best, her father's chauffeur and local musician, fall for her. But she never counted on falling in love with him right back. Fans of Colleen Hoover, Anna Hong, and Mia Sheridan will love Society Girl, a sweeping romance from bestselling novelist and screenwriter Elise Murray. Free for Kindle Unlimited users for a limited time. Go to elisemurray.com/novels/Society Girl for more information. Or you can use the affiliate link below. I can see that. Okay, so number 9 is where I have The Nightmare Before Christmas. And like I said, that theme of Jack trying to be something that he's not, and sort of his character arc and journey, plus the iconic animation and the beautiful music. I do love so many of the songs. I'm not a big fan of, or a huge fan of Oogie Boogie. I don't love that villain. He's just a little too gross for my taste.
Yeah, he is gross.
He's pretty gross. But it's a fun movie. And so I have that at 9. What do you have at 9?
I have the 1951 A Christmas Carol. This is the version I watched the most as a child, like every year on Christmas. And I don't know, this one really hits home to me, probably the nostalgia, because this is the version I have seen, even though I like the one from the 30s better, but it's not on this list. But this one I think is probably the one that most people are familiar with, at least the classic version of it.
Well, this one, they tried to give a little bit of Scrooge's backstory.
Yes.
And kind of how he became the way that he was in his early days of business. And also with his family and everything. And so I think that works quite well. It's absolutely beautifully filmed.
Absolutely, yes.
Gorgeous, the black and white.
Yeah.
That's why when they colorized this thing, you just...
stop, don't colorize
absolutely
anymore.
Horrible. Horrible.
And when they did With a Wonderful Life, oy.
Yeah, absolutely atrocious. And the other day they had Miracle on 34th Street and colorized on I think it was TCM or AMC, one of those movie channels. And I sent them a scathing email. I was like,
exactly.
How could you have the colorized version? Are you kidding me?
There are some classic Christmas movies that you can watch on Amazon Prime. Like if you have Prime, so you don't have to like rent them. They're the colorized version. Like, why would I do that? Why?
Yeah. Disgusting, gross. Because it's not only just that I think it looks awful, but
they painted over the negative.
Yeah, it's not authentic color.
Absolutely not.
It looks like an Ann Geddes thing.
I don't think you could improve it doing it digitally either. It just.
But it's also the fact that it was done without the consent. In most of these cases, without the consent of the people that were the filmmakers, because most of them were gone, or their estates, and that's just even more gross.
And what people don't realize is that you didn't just film black and white. And like you just did whatever you wanted, but the film was, the color was black and white. No, they knew exactly what to do for black and white film. Edith Head wore those sunglasses, and those glasses those were specific glasses so she could see the costumes in black and white. So they just became her iconic look.
Because most of the time they had the option to do color. But they specifically chose to do black and white.
And they knew, because they had this is how this is going to look in black and white. So the costuming, they weren't picking up. I mean, sometimes they had bright stuff, but for the most part, they had the eye on how it would look in black and white. Yeah. So when you're colorizing these things, it's never going to look right because it wasn't made with that intention. It was made with the intention of being in black and white. They knew what they were doing. They just didn't pick up a camera and I guess we can't film color. It doesn't matter. No, they weren't doing garish colors in black and white. No, because that would look weird in a black and white film. Everything was coordinated.
Yeah, exactly. Well, my number 8 is where I Meet Me in St. Louis. One of the great musicals.
Totally.
That era in Judy Garland, maybe never been better. I mean, she's so good. This was before her kind of downfall. She was pretty happy.
Also, like a
And
love letter from Vincent Minnelli to her
yeah,
as well, since he directed it.
right. And it's just a family story that I think you can still connect with, and all the different moments, and the idea of having to move, and when Tootie destroys the snowman, she sings "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas." It's so good. You have it 8.
Klaus.
Yeah.
Which is just so
Yay,
adorable.
I'm so glad you liked it.
It took me forever to watch it, Rachel. I finally got around to watch it. I have to go to my brother's house to watch Netflix now, but I finally got around to watch it.
Well, I mean, and you agree that it should have beat Toy Story 4.
Absolutely. After watching it now, yes, hands down. Yeah. So.
Very good. All right. Number 7 is where I have Miracle on 34th Street. I do love it so much. And a lot of people don't realize that Edmund Gwenn won Oscar for this role playing Santa.
Yes, I know Chris. A lot of people don't realize that. No, and it's
what
such
a wonderful
genuine
child
performance.
Yeah, wonderful child performance from Natalie Wood. It's genuine, and I would say it's like an underrated rom-com, because I think that Maureen O'Hara and John Payne have such nice chemistry.
It can, yeah,
it's really nice, and it's just an overall lovely little Christmas movie.
So it totally is,
and it opened in the summer. People don't realize that.
Yes, and please don't ever remake it again, because I think this is just like a one and done. You can't recapture this.
I mean, I think the remake's okay.
I know, but it's like
it's not a train wreck. But
but I feel like the sentiment, it can't. You can't recapture something like this.
Yeah. I forget what they tried to do in the remake as opposed to the letters. It's something else.
I can't remember either. It's been so long.
But it wasn't as good. I remember that. All right, what do you have at 7?
I have How the Grinch Stole Christmas. It's a classic. I feel like the Grinch a lot, but
yeah.
I can relate.
Me, Mr. Grinch with a nauseous, sinful nosh. That song, I mean, it really does make it. That song.
Who's more annoying, Rachel? The Grinch or the Cat in the Hat?
More annoying?
The Cat in the Hat, right?
I mean, Cat in the Hat for sure. Yeah.
For sure, they're both annoying. Like, I love the Cat in the Hat, but each time I saw that movie or read the books or even the Cat in the Hat, the sequel of it, I was like, this cat is like, he's working on my nerves.
He's just
like
total chaos. The cat, whereas the Grinch has some method to his madness.
I mean, slightly redeemed in that PBS cartoon, made for the kids, so they learn everything. The Cat in the Hat knows all about that, whatever. Slightly redeemed, but he's still. I was like, no, sir. He's holding thing 1 and thing 2 prisoner. Changed my mind about that, but they are prisoners. They're slaves. Okay, sorry. Go on.
Well, my number 6 is where I have Muppets Christmas Carol, and this was
same.
So hard. Yeah. Okay. Good. I love it so much, and we usually watch on Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
because after all, there's only one more sleep till Christmas.
It's my favorite Muppets movie.
It's
which is hard, but for me, it is for me. For me, it's the favorite.
This or Muppet movie. I love them both so much.
Yeah.
And I really love having Gonzo as Dickens. It's so brilliant, and Stellar and Waldorf doing Marley and Marley, and I love the songs, and I love Michael Caine, and
the way he commits to this movie.
He does.
That is why it's so great, because he commits 100%
to it. And I'm so glad they got the Love is Gone
they restored it finally.
In Disney Plus. And it was really fun at D23, the last D23. They had a whole panel, and they had Jodie Benson come and sing that song, which was really cool, because I love Jodie. But it's so good. I love the fact that they have Piggy and Kermit and their kids. The girls are pigs and the boys.
It's so great. Girls are all pig. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
We don't have to explain how it works. It just is what it is.
Yeah. And Rizzo. I love Rizzo. They've been trying
brothers and sisters.
They've been trying to replace Rizzo with Peppy. No good.
No, sir. No, keep Peppy at a minimum, please.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. All right. So that's your 6. So my number 5 is where I have 1951 Christmas Carol. I really appreciate Alistair Sim's performance in this, and he brings he's kind of a winking Scrooge. He's kind of he's never that unlikable, and because in the book, like there is no humanity. I mean, Scrooge
Absolutely none.
total monster, and I do appreciate some versions that really capture that. I think the Jim Carrey one actually like captures that pretty well. I know a lot of people can't stand that animation, but I do appreciate how true to the book that one is. But this one, it is a little bit of a stray from the book, but I still think he brings a lot to that performance in that role.
Totally.
And it's just so beautifully made. So it just to me is the like perfect Christmas Carol.
Oh, great. Yeah, it is like probably the best remembered too of like the classic versions. Yeah.
I also love the Mickey's one. That's not on this list, but I do love
No,
that one as
amazing
well.
that it wasn't. I have to add it. That is adorable as well. And I was
Yeah.
like, why isn't this?
I certainly would pick that over most of the Rankin Pass.
I would as well.
But what do you have at 5?
I have A Christmas Story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, Ralphie, you'll shoot your eye out, and he does. Spoilers.
Yeah.
But it's just something just so nostalgic, and it still feels timeless even when you watch it, even though it's set, you know, in the 40s or whatever. It still feels timeless.
We talked about this before, but I really
Yeah.
think that A Christmas Story that it captures childhood better than almost any film.
Totally. Yes.
Just the way that he connects with his parents, the way he connects with his friends, the way he connects with his teacher, all those different things and sort of the fantasies that he has. It's not really about necessarily wanting this toy. It's about the childhood experience of Christmas and, and just everything that goes along with it. Again, with your parents, your school, the bullies. I mean, one of my favorite scenes is when he finally stands up to the bully and beats Scott Farquaad.
And he's afraid his mom is going to spill this, you know, tell his father everything, and she doesn't.
Oh, I love that
like
too.
That secret, yeah, like because she's like, nah, man.
Things were different between me and my mom after that. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, because she like recognized all that frustration, and she was like, nah, I'm gonna, you know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
so
keep
I
this
know a lot of people say, oh, it's overrated. It's overrated. I don't think so. I really do love it. And I do think it's still very funny when he gets the lamp freshy lamp.
Oh, and when she breaks that on purpose, you know. I've got a Hallmark ornament of that lamp, which I hang every year. It's
jealous of this lamp.
Bro, if my husband got a lamp like that, I'd go straight to the garbage. I'd be like, return to sender, and I will let you keep anything else but that.
His major award. Oh.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
I actually have it at a 4, so I'm right with you. What do you have at 4?
I have Miracle on 34th Street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, it's just so delightful, and Maureen O'Hara, you know, like epic beauty just gracing my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the ending too, you know.
I love the ending when they kind of look at each other like, what have I done?
You know, like, was he really, you know, and the whole was he or wasn't he, and you know, you play along with that, is he or isn't he? And it's kind of answered at the end of the movie. And it's just charming. It's like great, you know.
Well, 3 is where I have Home Alone. And like I said, I have a hard time divorcing my nostalgia from this movie.
Totally.
I usually am pretty good about that, but this is one, like, it was the first comedy I ever really remember. I remember seeing it with my grandparents, just laughing so hard. And I was a really independent kid, so the whole idea of like,
that's
the escapism of it, of like I do think that for the most part, most kids, if given the opportunity, would be successful. Like, obviously not like creating the booby traps and stuff like that, but like, I don't know, we just think they're incapable, but they could certainly go into a store and like get
Oh yeah,
stuff for a
totally. If you
meal and
allow
like
them to have
make
that,
food and
yeah,
do the laundry, just like stuff that we don't think that they can do, they probably
they
could do
can
like
do
a
because
real good job.
we do babyish children
Mhm.
today a little too much, I
Yeah.
think.
And
Yeah.
I as a kid, I really like yearned for that kind of a thing. Like I really wanted to be independent and do my own thing and
Yeah,
be
because I was
respected.
doing already like that. Like I washed clothes. I
Hmm.
had like when we cleaned the house on weekends, I had rooms that were specific that I had to
Hmm.
clean. That was
Yeah.
my duty. So I already had like a house. Like I walked, because we had a store, grocery store right around, like a block or two from us. So we were allowed to walk to pick up items at the grocery store and back. Obviously, different times as
Hmm.
well. But like I did a lot of that on my own. So I was like, I feel you, kid. You can do
Yeah.
this. You
I
know.
know, and it's so sad when his grocery sacks break and he's like, you're just like, oh man. But he does it and he figures it out, and I love that. And
Yeah,
so yeah, it's a great movie with
it's
great
great.
script and great heart behind it. And I love even though they're like the worst parents, her whole journey to get back is so funny in the polka band.
Yo, but his cousins though, and some of
Yeah.
his siblings, questionable,
Yeah, they're
you
the
know.
worst. But pretty realistic, really. I mean, as
Yeah,
far as those kinds of
totally. Yeah, the
swirling,
dynamics
that
of
you
it.
have.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I have three. What do you have at three?
This is my childhood nostalgia. National Lampoon's Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
watch this a bunch on TV every year. This is like a how I feel with Home Alone for you.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know, I just grew up with this. I loved it. I just remember vividly it coming out, but not seeing it till a couple of years later on TV. And for me, it's the best vacation movie of the series. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, holds a special heart.
Only ever seen the original. And it's another one of those blind spots from the 80s that I wasn't that big a fan of.
Yeah, yeah,
I
I
don't
know
know.
when
I
they go
just
to the
haven't
theme
had
park,
great.
right?
I haven't had, yeah,
Yeah,
Wally World. I
yeah.
don't know. I just didn't love it.
I think this one works so much better as a
Yeah.
vacation. I mean, this is my favorite of the four or five. I don't know how
This
many
one
there
has
are.
so much more heart and soul to it, I think.
Totally.
Yeah.
And when
And,
when
and
he
more
doesn't get
fun.
that bonus, he's been counting on that Christmas bonus. When
Yeah.
he kidnaps the like he
Well,
finally
he doesn't
snaps.
kidnap it. It's
Well,
his
no,
brother.
because he finally snaps, and of course his weird cousin Eddie.
His cousin, yeah.
I have never seen. I've got to track down that cousin Eddie. They made a cousin Eddie TV.
Oh, yeah. I bet
Yeah.
it's terrible.
Mm,
Well, number
I
two
figured.
is for me is where I have Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just think it's perfect. I love the honesty of all the characters and Charlie Brown getting so frustrated at the commercialism and him just wanting to he's just getting frustrated in
Oh, totally.
how
Like,
everybody's
so,
behaving.
yeah,
And so then when Linus stands up and he cites Luke too, it's so good. Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
So and of course maybe the most iconic Christmas score. I mean that
Oh, totally. Yeah.
yeah, is just so good. What do you have at two?
I had Die Hard because it's Die
It's so
Hard.
hard
It's
to
great.
rank. Yeah.
Yeah. And I one time had an advent calendar, it had chocolates. I can't remember what year this was, but I remember it. It had Alan Rickman falling, though. You would open up. Must have been the late 90s,
Yeah.
maybe early 2000s when they did that or something like that. But I specifically remember this advent calendar where you'd open it up with Alan Rickman falling out of the tower, and you'd get a chocolate.
That's funny.
You
Yeah.
know?
Well, number one, I guess it's for both of us. We have the same number
Oh,
one.
yeah. It's a
Yeah,
Wonderful Life.
It's
Yeah.
a Wonderful Life at number
You
one. I
can't beat
debated
this.
because I do think there are some small pacing issues I could nitpick, but in the end, I do think it's one of the finest films ever made. Just the
Totally.
whole journey of him going
Yes.
to this person who's going to commit suicide to realizing that his life matters and that he's
Yep.
played this important role in so many different people's lives. And some people say, oh, it's like so over the top, but like, of course it's over the top. Like Clarence isn't going to show him like a world where he's made no difference. He's going to show him this
what a life
extreme version.
Yeah.
Because he wants him to not
Right.
do this.
I mean, and he sacrificed a lot. Like every time
He
I watch
really
a movie, I
did.
get so angry at that brother. I was like, that brother. You couldn't even come home. Your brother gave up college for you.
Ugh.
And I got married and now I'm moving away to work at this. I was like, what? Your brother gave up everything. He can't even go to college. And I love of course, it's a great meme for like Not Today with Mary Tyler Moore breaking not Mary Tyler Moore, where she breaks the record.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because she's just like, I've had enough, you know?
Well, in that whole when they're on the phone with I don't want to get married. I don't want to, it's such a great scene. The acting is top notch throughout the whole movie. You just feel his desperation. Like, I mean, people sometimes kind of forget that it's a movie about suicide. And
it totally is.
How,
and you know what? I would have whooped my uncle. Like, when I love it when he loses it because he's had a day. His uncle saw that mom and his daughter's crying and he just yells at the school teacher on the phone. Like, who do you think you are? You know, and I was like, get it. You feel that. You feel
we've all had times in our life where something important has been lost. And that feeling of just like desperation, and he says, I'm not going to prison.
And you feel like you've lost everything.
Oh my gosh.
And there's just nothing left. Like you really feel that in his performance, in Jimmy Stewart's performance.
And I think we also all go through periods of life where it just feels like it just feels like a rough patch. You're just like, you can't catch a break, and then you'll have like happier times, but we all go through those tough times too. And so it's so easy to empathize with him and like he's feeling.
And Donna Reed too, just like, we'll make this work, like, because he doesn't really give he promises a lot to her and he doesn't deliver, but she's okay with it because she loves him and she knows he's a good man. And they have these children and she's working through it. She's like, you can make all those promises, but we don't need this. We have a good life. It is. And it takes him a while because he's so disappointed. And so it's like one disappointment after another. Yeah. And like it's just, you relate to that. This movie came out in the summer, Rachel. No wonder it flopped when it first came out.
Well, and it's just, I'm like, let the man go on vacation. Like so much.
I know. Like, let the man go on one vacation. Like, Lionel Barrymore, though, was always like the greatest, like evil dude. Like, what a villain. Always played a great bad guy.
Yeah, and I love when he's running through the street and saying, hello, Merry Christmas movie house. Merry Christmas, wonderful savings and loans.
And he's like, what's wrong with him?
Yeah.
And just really how the townsfolk too, and like, because he thinks nobody's going to help him, but really when the townsfolk like get together and they help him in the end. And
I Gloria Graham, she's got a little role in this.
Oh yeah, like there's so many great people. Yeah. But yeah, so, when you watch it, you really feel though, like, I feel you, bro. You had a life, It's the irrational hate I have for that brother, though, Rachel. I was like, you worthless.
Yeah, then he goes to war and he does hero.
He does, because he gives up. I'll stay behind while you go to war. I'll stay in college. You take my college. And then he promises his brother he's going to come back so he could go to college and do all this stuff. And he doesn't do that. And he doesn't even think about like really his brother or what his brother wants because he's made the sacrifices,
Yeah.
And so it's also a reconsideration of like recognizing the sacrifices that he's made. Well, but the person who does know that is Donna Reed as his wife, and she loves him. But he's got to get past the scene. It's a great movie, guys. It's great. We could talk about it for hours.
Buffalo Bill, why don't you come out tonight?
And it's so sweet at the end with Daddy. Every time a bell rings.
Yeah, when he's like, Zuzu's pedal.
But my favorite part is that the teacher's husband's at the bar. Oh yeah, you call my wife.
Oh yeah.
And he gets punched in the face.
Yeah.
Making my wife cry.
It's not enough. She's got to teach her a little more. It is one of the, if not the finest, it's certainly one of the finest films Hollywood has ever made. And I'm so glad.
Best or
He's
tough.
got
too many.
I do think maybe we should do a Capper ranking. That would be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Because he has some underappreciated ones.
Because then he has It Happened One Night too, and
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he has so many great movies. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Mr. Deeds Go to Town, Meet John Doe.
Yeah.
So many great movies. So yeah, it's a tough, it's an embarrassment of riches for Mr. Frank
For
Capra.
sure.
But there we go. It's our number one out of the IMDb editors' top Christmas movies.
Yep.
And so I'll put a link down if people want to see this list. And if you want to give us your ranking, we would love to see that in the comment section or in your own content. If you want to tag us, we'd love to see what you do with these and how you'd rank them. And we hope you've had a fun Christmas in July. And enjoyed some of these rankings that we've done. And thanks so much, Terry. And where can people find you?
I'm at Twitter at Flurry Heaven.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And you want to check out all of our Christmas content. We have tons. And it's a lot of fun. And we'll be excited to be covering this new season of Christmas movies coming forward. It'll be our 8th year doing Christmas on the podcast. Unbelievable. And so check that out. If you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really, really appreciate that. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. And we also have the Patreon group, which is the biggest way you can support us. And we do bonus episodes. We have our watch alongs. We have so much fun. So please take a look at that. We would really, really appreciate it. And then we have the merch store where we have tons of festive designs. So take a look at that. And thanks so much, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.